Hey everyone, welcome to the PCS-Proof Podcast, where we're covering the vital things you need to know to thrive in every season of military life. I'm your host and milspouse fitness expert, Grace Barnick-Damazo, and I encourage you to join me each week as we dive deep into topics like fitness, wellness, and entrepreneurship as a military spouse so that you can maintain your own sense of identity and purpose, conquering every transition with strength and resilience. As we journey together, you can expect uplifting conversations and insights. We'll share some laughs, and you can count on me to keep it real so that together we can become truly PCS-proof. Now let's get into it. Welcome back to the PCS-Proof Podcast. Feels like December has just flown by, doesn't it? At least it was for me. December just seems like everything from Thanksgiving to now just seemed like it zipped by. I definitely spent some time celebrating the festive spirit and Christmas and all of that, but I spent another huge portion of December recovering from this really just lingering cold. It just would not go away. And just this week leading up to Christmas, finally feeling so much better and able to really savor these last couple days of the Christmas holiday spirit. And I wish that for you. I hope that your Thanksgiving was festive and you were able to savor those moments, that you were able to spend it with the people that you love or do FaceTimes and connect with those people who are most important to you and that you love in your life. I wish for you that you had a wonderful Christmas or holiday season wherever the world you are at. So today I wanted to dive into something a little bit different, but super important right before we kickstart our goal setting for 2025. I know this is kind of like that dead week that we're leading up to New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and we start 2025. So let me ask you a question. How many times have you just jumped headfirst into your New Year's resolutions, just really hyper-focused on all the things that you want to change, all the things that you want to improve on for yourself or improve in your life? You know, like the weight you want to lose, the habits you want to fix, the career moves that you should have made last year, that you feel like you should have made last year, but you're recommitting to in the new year. If you're nodding along with me, don't worry, you're not alone. I do this too. We've really been trained by society to zero in on what's wrong in our lives, what's missing in our lives, and what we need to fix about ourselves or about our lives. And we've also been trained to think about those things as particularly important at each new calendar year changeover. At each new year, we're taught to hyper-focus on these things. But here's the thing, is that when we constantly live in that mindset, we miss out on something crucial. We forget to stop and celebrate all the progress we have made already, the lessons we've already learned, and the accomplishments that, let's be real, deserve some recognition. And I'm huge on setting goals. If you haven't already caught on with that over your time listening to this podcast, or if you don't know me very well, you know that I'm huge on setting new goals, especially in the new year. In fact, one of my favorite things that I look forward to each and every December is for my brand new passion planner to arrive, which just did last week. And I get to crack that baby open and do my mind mapping exercises and plan out my action steps for achieving my big goals for the year ahead. So I get the urge to want to steamroll into the planning process. And there's something so special and so enticing about that fresh start, that clean slate, the fresh calendar and all the opportunities that lay out on that blank slate, right? But here's the truth. Before you even set one goal for 2025, you got to take a step back and you have to reflect. Reflect on what went well in the past year. Reflect on what you've learned. Reflect on the ways that you've grown, even if they don't feel huge. And I honestly feel that this is a major missing piece to goal achievement that most people just don't think about, but would really transform their perspective. So trust me, taking this time to reflect isn't just a nice to have thing. It's really, I feel, the secret sauce to creating goals that are actually meaningful and aligned and sustainable. So I wanted to take some time today to break it down and teach you kind of some ways that you can guide a reflection so that when you're setting your goals for 2025 or any time period in the future, it doesn't have to be a fresh new year. It could be really any time. And in fact, I actually do this with all of my private coaching clients. We do this every single month when we're looking at how are we going to set ourselves up for success this month and how are we going to set ourselves up for next month. We take a moment to reflect on the things that we've done well, the wins that we had, and then we reflect on some areas that we might want to now focus on since we've accomplished those things in the previous month. So I'm going to actually guide you through a lot of the same things I work on with my private coaching clients, and then I threw in some extra ones as well that I think will be really helpful. So let's break it down for a moment. So the first thing that I want to talk about is ways to take action in your reflection. And I'm going to give you five ways to go about this. And maybe my hope for you is that you take away 2 or 3 of these and start to implement them in the next few days. So first things first, I want you to take a moment and reflect back on the year that is just wrapping up, 2024. And I want you to write down or think about or put a notes in your phone, open up a new notes file and write down, what are you proud of this year? What are you proud of in 2024? Grab that notebook, open up your notes app, and make a list. Big wins, small wins, anything counts. Maybe you landed a new client. Maybe you read 5 books. Maybe you finally unpacked those last boxes from your most recent PCS, or maybe you did your pre-PCS purge. Maybe you went through all of your belongings and did that always desired for purge that most of us don't end up having time to do. So maybe you did that. That's a win. Write it all down and let yourself really soak in and feel that sense of accomplishment. All of those things are wins that should be celebrated, but we so often overlook them or forget about them. And maybe this is hard. Maybe this feels really overwhelming. A whole year of wins is a lot. So maybe think back to January. Maybe try and pull one win that you can remember from January 2024, and then February, and then March. And see if you can write down 1 or 2 from each of the months, and I'm sure you'll end up remembering more as you get toward the end of the year because those are fresher in your minds. But try and write something down from the beginning of the year, from the middle of the year, and from most recent months. And then my second activity or action step is to try and identify some lessons that you learned this year. What challenges did you face this year? And what lessons did you take away from those challenges? Think about the moments this past year that felt really tough, super frustrating, or even a little scary and nerve-wracking. I can think of several of them actually now that I'm thinking about it. Those moments, those really tough times, those things that don't feel comfortable or easy, you feel like you're getting pushed in a part of your life. Those are your greatest teaching moments. So I want you to write down a lesson that you've taken away and how they may have shaped the person that you are today that you didn't enter into 2024 as. And then my third action step, and this is sometimes growth is really subtle. So that's why I love this moment to take a reflection, because like we were just saying, you entered into 2024 different than the person who is leaving 2024. And you may not realize it if we're not paying attention because growth is so subtle. It's like that plant on your windowsill that suddenly sprouts leaves and you didn't even notice it before. So I want you to think about, where have you grown this year? Have you become maybe more patient? I don't know if I've become more patient, but this year has definitely challenged my patience. So maybe I have become a little bit more patient. Maybe you're more confident now in an area of your life. Maybe you started showing up for yourself in ways that you didn't before. So I want you to think about, maybe reflect back and think about the things, the growth that you've had, or how have you evolved over the course of the past 12 months. And then after that, I want you to revisit some of your intentions. If you did do an exercise like a goal setting, or maybe you wrote some things down, maybe you have a passion planner or a different planner than that you really like to use. And I want you to think back to the start of 2024 and kind of recall what were some of your goals or your intentions that you had heading into the new year. Maybe you didn't crush every single one. That's okay. Take a moment to see where you did make progress. So sometimes we only think about a win as crossing the finish line, but we neglect the journey and the process and the growth that we made up to this point. So progress isn't always linear. Sometimes we start in one place and we end up somewhere that we didn't even imagine that we would, but it's still progress. It's messy, and that's okay. So I want you to think back to those intentions and goals that you set for yourself going into 2024, and then reflect on, how was the journey? Where are you in that journey? You probably, if you're like most people, don't give yourself enough credit if you haven't officially crossed the finish line. So give yourself credit for the progress that you've made up to this point. And then finally, think about what you're grateful for. And this is something that we talked about last month for Thanksgiving. Of course, everyone's talking about gratitude, but gratitude is so important because it shifts your perspective. It shifts what you focus on and what expands in your life, and helps you to see those silver linings even in really challenging, really tough times. So documenting it and having something that you can refer back to will just enhance that whole gratitude process. So jot down 3 to 5 things that you are grateful for from this year. Think about all those gifts that you were given, or opportunities that you had that you didn't foresee for yourself that you're so grateful for. I know for me, I'm so grateful for the amount of travel that I've gotten to do this year, that I haven't had the opportunity to do for certain different circumstances. But when I reflect back on this year, despite the challenges and the changes and the evolution in my business, my personal life, I will always look back at this year as with so much gratitude for my opportunity to travel and experience so much with so many people that I really care about. So think about those 3 to 5 things that you are truly grateful for from 2024 and write those down. Document them so you can refer back to them. So this is just a little quick exercise that I want you to do. My challenge for you is to take 10 to 15 minutes to do this reflection. Again, you could do all 5 if you have the time and energy to do it. I know this is a really busy time still, but at least go through a couple of these, if not all of them. Seriously, schedule it in this weekend. If you need to, schedule that time in. You will be amazed at how much clarity and how much confidence this practice will give you. You will walk away feeling way more energized. Even just talking about it now, I feel so much better just thinking back at what a spectacular year this was for me. And if I wasn't thinking about these things, I would probably tend toward feeling like 2024 was kind of a stagnant year for me in a lot of ways. But thinking about how grateful I am for the opportunities, the experiences, being able to take on projects that I haven't had time or energy to do in past years because I was too busy, right? So taking this moment to just reflect as I'm talking to you now is making me feel more charged up and more excited. So I think you'll be amazed by how much this will help you and how much more intentional your goal setting will be for 2025 after doing this exercise. And then once you've completed it, then you're ready to take that next step and start setting your goals for 2025. Don't miss out on this step. Don't miss out on this reflection before doing that goal setting. And I have a little bonus to help you with that goal setting process if you need it. And it will help you kick off the new year with that same energy. So I created a free downloadable workbook to guide you in creating your own goal achievement blueprint for 2025. And I've also included a step-by-step video guide where I'm going to teach you the exact formula that I use for myself and I use with my coaching members for achieving your biggest goals year in and year out. I've used this every single year and it moved me so much further forward than if I didn't have a plan. And it's packed with all the tools, none of the fluff, so that you can hit the ground running on January 1. So you're not sitting on your heels waiting to do your goal setting until after the new year. So head over to fitpathcoaching.kit, that's KIT.com/blueprint, and you can grab your free copy of that workbook and then also have access to the step-by-step video guide. And this is the perfect time to do this. This week between Christmas and New Year's is kind of like that dead week for a lot of us. The hype of the holidays has finally died down. The kids are home, so you're not running them back and forth to school and to after-school activities. So you can schedule 15 minutes for yourself to reflect on all that you've achieved and learned in 2024. Reflect on your growth. Even if you haven't reached your final destination for your goals, you are a different person now than when you started this calendar year, right? Then carve out and schedule another 30 minutes to download your blueprint and follow my step-by-step goal achievement system. And in under an hour, you will have set up yourself for massive success in 2025. And that's what I really want for you. So thank you for listening to our final episode of 2024. And in my reflection process, one of the things that I have as one of my biggest accomplishments for this year is stepping outside of my comfort zone and starting this podcast. It has really been such an enjoyable way for me to communicate with you in a way that to me feels much more authentic. And I could not have done it without you. So let me just take a moment to thank you for being here. Thank you for setting aside time for you in a world that is so full, I feel like, of just fluff. You know, we spend a lot of time consuming fluff that feels easy. And it is hard to spend time making ourselves better, right? If it were that easy, everyone would be doing it. It takes effort and energy to spend time focusing on improving ourselves. So for that, I thank you for spending this time with me each and every episode in an effort to improve yourself, improve your life, so that you can best take care of your military family around you. I can't wait to keep this going and expand our global community and share more stories from women who are thriving in military life in the new year in 2025. I am wishing you a restorative and energizing final week of this year. Let's make the most of this time, right? Let's make the most of this time and set ourselves up for a historic new year of success. I will meet you right back here in the first full week of 2025 for our first episode of the fresh new year. And remember, no matter where in the world military life sends you, together we are PCS-Proof. Adios.
And here is the legal language. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to replace professional advice. The views expressed in this podcast may not be those of the host or fitpathcoaching.com. Moreover, we are not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from the use of this podcast.